The purpose of CEPF's Safeguard Policy on Biodiversity Conservation and Sustainable Management of Living Natural Resources is to avoid or mitigate any significant loss or degradation of natural habitats and associated biodiversity and ecosystem services. This policy pays special attention to critical habitats. These include existing and proposed protected areas, areas recognized as protected by traditional local communities, and areas identified as important for conservation, such as key biodiversity areas, Ramsar sites, etc. CPF-funded projects should avoid harming critical habitats, except for very small-scale impacts like trail building or ranger station construction. For projects working in natural habitats that are not considered critical habitats, CPF grantees must consider potential adverse impacts and ensure that mitigation measures are designed to achieve no net loss and preferably a net gain of biodiversity values and/or ecosystem services. When you apply for a CEPF grant, the CEPF team will assign your project to one of three categories, according to its environmental and social risks. If your project is assigned to Category A or B in regard to the policy on biodiversity conservation and sustainable management of living natural resources, you will be asked to prepare an environmental and social management plan. Templates and worked examples can be found on the CPF website. If you are asked to prepare an environmental and social management plan, you will need to identify environmental and social risks related to biodiversity conservation and describe the measures you propose to take to mitigate adverse impacts. In particular, you must not include any activities that contravene applicable multilateral environmental agreements, such as the Convention on Biological Diversity, the Ramsar Convention, and the Convention on Migratory Species. You must not introduce or use potentially invasive, non-indigenous species, for example in forestry or aquaculture. You must not procure natural resource commodities, for example timber for construction, that may contribute to significant conversion or degradation of natural habitats. Sustainably sourced materials should be used. If your project involves harvesting of living natural resources, such as fish, timber, or non-timber forest products, you must adopt good sustainable management practices, including industry-specific standards where they exist. If your project involves forest restoration, it must maintain or enhance biodiversity and ecosystem function, and be environmentally appropriate, socially beneficial, and economically viable. Finally, if your project involves use of genetic resources, it must conform with applicable frameworks related to access and benefit sharing, such as the Nagoya Protocol.